If you were to describe yourself, how would you describe yourself to somebody who doesn't know you?
Yeah, but so you must understand, I'm a guy that grew up in Soweto, slept in Soweto on the kitchen floor, dining room floor, but spent most of my day at St. David's Maristananda, one of the most richest environments that you can find. School in the entire continent. So when you grow up in that type of environment where you're forced to live in two worlds, you have to adapt. When you go to St. David's, they tell you that, oh, this guy Lux used to, and when you go to Soweto Kondovaya, they tell you, Luxiki Kim Toso, so, and those two people are completely different, but they're the same person at the end of the day. Yeah.
As far as I remember, I don't think I've ever met you, but you can remind me.
Yeah.
But obviously now with everything that's happening and you being part of the national discourse, there's just certain things that I had to go back and watch about you, do research. And I found out that, one, you are a pilot. Is that true?
That's true.
Okay, so what type of pilot are you?
So I trained as a commercial pilot. I ended up there. And I didn't pursue it simply because there was no business in it for a black child. You really need the strong networks. You really need, you really need a lot of money to do it. KFM actually once supported us during our times when we were flying and we're starting up our small airlines, and they said, no, we're willing to listen. And that's why I know a lot of people here, because KFM actually gave us a little bit of airtime to push our business back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, I know you did an interview on Uncle T's show back when Uncle Bob was still around. You were regular in the building.
Sure.
And so what led you to get into that kind of business if later on you realize there's no money in it?
No, there is a lot of money in aviation.
Yeah.
But you need to be set up different. And a lot of people obviously think that we come from super rich families, and we don't. So just to break even point, it's not a car wash. To own a car wash, to break even point is like $2,000 that you need to have made and breaking even point nicely with whoever is probably working for you. You need probably $500,000 to break even point in aviation. It's tough. And when you don't have you don't have networks properly in the business, and I wish I had the networks that people claim I have. Probably if I knew all these white people that are super rich that people think I know, I wouldn't even be sitting here. I'd probably be doing something else.
I'm glad you bring that up, because when it comes to networks, you do seem to have rubbed shoulders with people that are powerful.
Yeah. If
the pictures are to be believed. Like, for example, I've seen pictures with you with former President Kgalema Motlanthe.
Sure.
Obviously, Kurzov comes up pretty often.
Yeah. So I rub shoulders and nothing else.
Yeah.
A lot of people rub shoulders and move on to rubbing other things.
Well,
and that's why they get to where they get to.
You used to do some work with the city of Joburg, I think back in about 2014, 2015. So you guys used to have Disky Golf.
Yeah.
And I know you did work with them. Yeah, so how did that come about if you didn't have the networks?
It wasn't actually the city of Johannesburg. It was Gauteng Tourism. So Gauteng Tourism knew that we're the only few. I'm actually a professional golfer. I studied through the PGA. So we ran Soweto Country Club when it was not fashionable to even play at Soweto Country Club. So the guys there were so open-minded to say that, what do we do for Soweto, sports in Soweto, and how do we participate in Soweto? And when they looked into Soweto, they found us, because we've always been on the ground in Soweto. And they're like, yo, do you mind that if we can come together, we do something nice, because we need to bring investment in terms of tourism in Soweto? And they're like, with pleasure, let's do it. And we did it. And that's how Disky Golf came. Every time Chiefs and Pirates played, we had Chiefs supporting golfers play against Pirates supporting golfers, and then we play golf in the morning. Whoever wins, it's like the derby. Whoever wins, then they have the bragging rights for the day. Then they go to join their teams, play at FNB Stadium, watching them, and meeting up with some of the players. It was a fantastic thing. I mean, it was just a nice sports package for tourism. Yeah. So that doesn't need connection. It really needs you to be on the ground working and be consistent. Then people recognize you, and you just do what you have to do.
And it seemed like you were doing extremely well in business, because, I mean, there was a time where you were driving a McLaren. Yeah. I saw pictures of that.
Yeah, there's no problem. Yeah, there's no problem with that.
So then what happened to your businesses? Are you still in business, or have you moved away from it?
So what's important is that I own the businesses, and I can always put them on ice. I can melt the ice when I need to, because, again, it comes with skill that no one can take. Education, that's why it's important. If I want to go back and do what I need to do, I can do it. I can drop everything now and do it. But because I don't need to, and I'm plugged in, I'm very happy with what I'm doing, I'm content with what I'm doing. People are worried that you're going to get killed because you're too honest about this. You're also going to die at some point. You're probably going to die before me, damn it. So why live your life on your knees? You might as well just live your life to the fullest. If it means I must die when I leave KFM because some drug dealers know that I'm here right now, so be it. If it means that I must get arrested right after this show because now Julius knows that I'm here, so be it.
Well, I hope it doesn't happen.
I don't care if it happens or not.
But then tell me, what informs the decision then to move from, which is essentially business, private business, and you're doing well, to what you are doing now? There's always a trigger point. And I mean, look, again, just through research, I know you've always been politically aware.
Yeah.
Even as far back as ANC Youth League, before Julius and them were expelled, you were still a supporter of the ANC then.
Big one.
Right?
Yeah. Well, so, not necessarily ANC. Because when you're doing politics at that age, politics is you only reason within your environment, you see. So you don't understand international politics or national politics. So it's like what's a good example? Our interest in politics was just what was happening in Go Rao. Now it's known as UJ. So we just would fight Rao politics and make sure that we get what we want in our space in the campus, and life would go on. So that's what we regarded as politics. So it's really not an easy thing for me to answer if I was in politics before or not, because it was just one of those things. Like if you're an SRC and you're fighting for what the students want, and they're fighting through you, and you're the chosen voice. That was it. It wasn't really a thing that we're going to conferences and we are voting for this president and we are taking that one out. We never did those type of things.
But what informed the decision then to move into what you're doing now currently?
So like I explained earlier on, I lived in two worlds, and that for a kid can be very traumatic. So I knew that when I graduated out of St. David's and I went to varsity, then you realize that these two worlds need to come together at some point. And why did the universe conspire for me to have the experience, the knowledge of these two worlds? And I thought that is my natural responsibility to try to bring the worlds together, because there's a lot of things that white people are absolutely clueless about when it comes to realities of black communities, and there's some things that black communities and black people that are clueless about it when it comes to white communities and white people in general. We just don't understand each other, but yet we are all South Africans, and it's a problem. So I thought, you know what, I need to contribute the little that life has given me in terms of knowledge, experience, traveling, reading, doesn't matter, education, and just give it back to people, because I was blessed that I could hustle enough from an early age to make a little bit of coin, and I live a totally independent life, and probably that's why I can afford to say that this is right, this is wrong, and not, because most people in here know what's right, what's wrong, but you dare say what's right, what's wrong, then that name tag will be replaced in 2 seconds, because you are here on condition. I'm here not on anyone's terms but mine. Yeah.
Joined in studio by Nhlanhla Lux. You can give us a shout if you got any questions. 086 00959. You can send us a voice note as well. 063 688 0959. He'll be with us for the remainder of the show. Tell me something. Did you change your surname?
No. So Nhlanhla Lux is not a full name. It's like how Pro had Linda Mkhize and Pro Kid.
So what's your surname?
Kimohlaudi.
Oh, but then why do people call you Nhlanhla Dlamini?
I explain another time. What one to family, politics family.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
On which side? Your mom or your dad's side?
Mom's side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. No, understood. So tell us about your dad, because you've spoken about this.
Yeah.
Pretty brazen oak.
Yeah.
Tell us about him.
Well, now, Bomakesta, my dad went by Makesta. Yeah. Bomakesta, Nelly Tlevata Strata. So what that means is they were literally career criminals. So what they do is rob banks. At the time it was post office. They rob the post office. They do what they do. And their primary mandate was to support the liberation struggle through their criminal activities. And that was normal at the time, I guess. And they would steal cars just to transport things over the borders to go to different camps. They steal guns. They rob into... rob securities of their guns and take to camps, those type of things, So I know his personal life was also supported by the thuggery, by the criminal elements. So I don't remember him ever having a proper job until we sat down and started business, and he started trading. Had a club in the East, and he calmed down a bit because he was a little bit old now. So, and he passed away, unfortunately.
And generally, sorry about that, by the way, I know it's been about a month.
Sure.
Generally, when people do that, they never tell their kids that that's what they do.
Yeah.
So the kids are none the wiser.
Yeah.
Did you know?
Yeah, so they would plan the robberies next to me. So I don't know why the hell they would do that, but I guess it conditioned me to be a little bit different. And I don't take it for granted. I mean, some kids would probably say that they need psychologists and therapy sessions. I don't need none of that. It was just my reality, and I accept it, and I can continue from it. So, but there's a lot that he had to explain. He had to explain why the intercom at Parker's Primary School called me out of the class, and when I got to the office, before I even saw him, they called me, "Is that your dad?" I said, yeah, that's my old man. I said, okay, we just wanted to verify because this man says he's your dad. I said, he is my dad. But what's the story here? Then he just has the refuse bags, the black ones, full of cash. And he's paying school fees for me in this lily white school from standard 1 till standard 5, grade 7, till I leave the school, and pays all the school trips and pays everything. And later on, because I mean it's a thing now, people are talking about it. He had explained to me, said, listen, but this he told me much later, not in that moment. So we had come straight from robbing a bank, and I knew that there'll be roadblocks to the hood because only us in the hood rob the banks, the post banks, and we just drove to your school, and my share paid all your school fees because that's what I lived for, you and the country. I had nothing else to live for. He wasn't the flashy guy. My dad would probably have R1 million cash and still be eating papaka kalbis. He's that guy. And some of those values school can't teach you. So some of those things we do have, and we've taken from them. And that's why we know how to take care of the communities. Because let me tell you, the OGs used to take care of communities. And come back with whatever it is from what they took wherever, and come make and improve the communities. It's exactly what they did. And I guess the love for helping people also came from him, and a lot from my mom, by the way, because they actually both have similar characters when it comes to trying to help people. And I just took it from home, and I guess for me it's just times 1,000. Yeah.
Joined in studio by Nhlanhla Lux. As you can hear, he's going to be with us pretty much until the show ends. If you've got any questions, you can give us a shout, 086-0000-959. You can send us your WhatsApp voice notes as well, 063-688-0959. Welcome back to Kaya Drive. A very different kind of show today. We've got a guest in studio, Nhlanhla Lux. And before the break, he was telling us about his dad and how much he had an influence on him. And it's ironic now because what you're involved in is actually fighting crime in your neighborhood, right? Yeah. So how did Operation Dudula begin? And maybe you can tell us about Soweto Parliament as a whole.
Look, Soweto Parliament is a platform that we put together that is non-political, because, growing up in a township, as soon as you have confidence to challenge anything that's a social ill or anything that's to do with the community, then everybody just suggests, no, you must join this, what. So not everybody has an appetite for politics, to be honest with you, because politics is a different ball game, There's a young girl who's at UJ, who's doing her master's degree and just wants to contribute back, or maybe perhaps works as a waitress somewhere and just wants to contribute as well in the development of the township, but doesn't want to get into that environment where people are just shouting and, So we created Soweto Parliament so that we can do 3 things in our township. We can have political accountability, which also includes holding the law enforcement accountable for the development of the township, because we're sick and tired of seeing police being part and parcel of the crimes in the township, taking the 20 rand from drug dealers. This is the reality. I don't know why people don't want to speak about this, but anyway.
When you say we, who is we exactly?
Who's we in Soweto Parliament?
Yeah, because you say we created it. So obviously it's yourself and who else?
Look, I came up with the concept. I proposed it to the communities, and people joined, and different wards joined, and different people are doing different, are operating differently in different wards depending on the need of that ward.
So when was this exactly?
We have 10 years back now, deep. We've got walls we've built for grannies as projects back in the day when we were still younger. And we've got, there's tons of projects that we've done in the communities. I mean, Soweto can stand up and tell you all about that. So it's political accountability, which is hold the councillors and government and police accountable. And the second one is economic accountability. We then say the businesses and the economy in our township must play a direct, deliberate role in the development of our communities, which also addresses the job issues, etc., etc. Just before Maponya Mall thing happened, we're actually talking to the delivery space in Soweto to say that we need to get merchants from the street corners to participate in this economy. And the guys, the foreign guys that are literally operating in that space, we're going to open the door and even teach some of these guys. It was done, discussed, and everything. So that's economic accountability. Social accountability is actually the most hardest, is when we hold each other accountable and say, but Sizwe, you can't do this. Sizwe, you've got a joint, but you know you have to close early, because then if the kids leave here at 6 on a Monday morning, we all look bad because they don't go to work. They don't. So it's these are very hard conversations to have, but we have them regardless. You know, even the letter, something that is underplayed in our black communities, the letter, small programs, teach the kids how to take care of their environment. I know politicians don't really focus on those things. They have other things to focus on, whatever those things are. But those are the small contributions that we've had and we continue to do as Soweto Parliament. Operation Totola is a platform where military veterans from all vets from APLA, MK, came together, and the community, you know, came together and said that some of the social ills, there's violent crimes, you know, some things the ordinary person can't do, can't challenge in the communities. Then these guys are already sitting here with a lot of skill. How do we then come together to combat some of these challenges? And that's how Operation Totola started. It's literally Totola, meaning to eradicate, if I should put it in another language, to eradicate all our social ills and anything that is a problem in our communities that we feel that we don't have any avenue that we can reach out to and to get help, you know. So we said we must be super active citizens and not expect outside agencies to always come and save us. We must do things ourselves as well. And these people, whoever it is that will come, be it the president, be it the minister, MEC, they'll meet us halfway. We can't just sit and do nothing. And that's where all these things come from.
So I think it must have been 1996, if not 1997. I remember there was an organization that was formed called PAGAD.
Yeah.
People Against Gangsterism and Drugs.
Yeah.
Originated in the Western Cape, and you know, obviously gangsters were a big thing there, and obviously Mandrax was a big thing there. But the thing with that organization is that they were very violent. They would go out there and behead people, and they wanted to make examples of drug dealers.
Sure.
Obviously, vigilantism not to be tolerated. That was my first time hearing of a vigilante group in the country.
Yeah.
How different are you guys from vigilante groups, if somebody calls you that?
I'm sure, well, you know, a lot of people are trying to misconstrue what we actually are for the sake of whatever benefits they get out of it. But I don't think that we can ever be a vigilante group. You know, we take words for granted. There's a lot of people listening that don't know what vigilante actually means, but they also probably just use it on a daily basis. You know, when people are trying to enforce the law without authority, those people are just taking things in their own hands and without even, you know, guidance from. So that's just a loose explanation of what a vigilante group would generally do. So we are not by any means that, because if you Google anything that's to do with Operation Totola, you always see a cop in sight. So we always have an operation that's planned with SAPS and with Metro Police, and all our marches we submit, and they're part of the operation. So that can't be vigilante. All our arrests, whenever we're successful with our arrests, SAPS handles the arrest. How's that being a vigilante? But people go on with it and really do not want to be honest about the fact that there is a gap in our country that nobody addresses, a white elephant in the room. And we were brave enough and confident enough to say enough is enough, and we challenging it alongside Put South Africa First and many other civic movements that are aligned with our thinking and philosophies.
So you mentioned authority, right? And authority is a funny thing, because in the absence of any authority, then literally anyone can assume it. So a very good example, you would have seen a lot of roadblocks. I mean, so traffic lights aren't working right now, right? And so what the people who would ordinarily be begging at traffic lights have now started doing is they are directing traffic.
100%.
And for me, it's been interesting to watch and observe that these are the same people you wouldn't pay attention to ordinarily. But now, all of a sudden, because they're directing traffic, they assume the authority, and people will stop when they tell them to stop, and they'll yield. And I think that's what's happening with you, because with you guys, under whose authority would you say you are operating and able to go there and make arrests or even search homes and businesses, etc., and so on.
Yeah. So again, we do not search homes and businesses, etc., etc. That's just what people say, and people push the narrative. Why don't you just watch the video and make the decision without the noise of what you are actually seeing? Half the people are defining us from what they've heard, not what they've experienced, read, or seen. You see? So what I'm telling you now is very simple.
So if you don't search your houses, then what do you do?
We go in with the police. And if the police are there and we're doing it wrong, why aren't we getting arrested?
You can't go into private property without a warrant.
No. Then you must ask the police, because we all have our role. That's why it's a joint operation. If the operation has to do with the pavement, then Metro Police is activated, not SAPS, because Metro Police's jurisdiction are the bylaws. If it's to do with anything else, then SAPS knows when to activate itself. If it's to do with information coming from the community, we know better. Then we come. That's why it's a joint operation. So people, I do not understand with such simple English what they misunderstand from that.
Yeah, so again, even if it was the SAPS themselves, they are not allowed to just barge into your house without a warrant. So that is unlawful, even if it's SAPS.
100%, Sizwe. So maybe then you must call the commissioner and ask the commissioner why they authorized that part of the operation to happen, not Lux.
So the commissioner does authorize it.
Look, I'm saying you must ask them, hold them accountable, and ask that, listen, are you well equipped in terms of authority and everything and permits that you need for this type of operation? Because I can't answer for the men in blue, I can't answer for the men in brown, nor can I answer for the men in orange in the city of Johannesburg, the Metro Police.
Yeah, but you are the person that starts the operation.
Yeah, look, if you say to me that there's someone who is selling drugs, and what's your role in it? And I say, because I'm from the community side, I can get evidence, I can get videos, I can get Bokoko to come and tell us if that's true or not. I can get 100 people to sign an affidavit and sign so that it makes our case strong. What's your role in it, Sizwe? No, I work at KFM, so I can broadcast that no to drugs and it's a good drug campaign. What's your contribution, perhaps SAPS? No, because we've got the authority to arrest, we'll make sure, and if it goes bad, and then we'll be there to protect the community, because the community will also be there. How dare then do I respond to anything that's to do with SAPS, Metro Police, or anyone else?
Well, let me explain, right? Sure. So if your objective is to uphold the law, there is the Criminal Procedure Act for that.
Okay.
So what you do is you then go and open up a case, which will be at whatever police station.
Sure.
A docket will be opened. They will then investigate the matter, right?
Sure.
They'll gather the evidence.
Sure.
And then the National Prosecuting Authority will determine, based on the evidence before them, whether they should arrest or apprehend that individual.
Sure.
That individual will then, they'll act accordingly. And then they'll be taken to our court system where they'll be tried. And ultimately, we'll know how things work.
Yeah.
So if you now circumvent that procedure, that is vigilantism.
Okay. So you are also saying police of this country are vigilantes? Because
I didn't say they're vigilantes, but police of this country do break the law, yes. And so if you're saying you gain access to private property with the support of police people, then yes, you break the law with the police people.
Do you know what's difficult with this conversation that we're having now? Is that's theory that we are now articulating. Theory versus real life. When theory meets real life, go in the townships and spend time in the township. Those things don't exist. It is people's human rights to have electricity. It's a basic human right to have food. Our people are living without food, without electricity. Let me bring it back. So this theory is all smart and amazing when it's spoken from the textbook, but it's not what reality is. So we need a government and we need law enforcement that can do better so that people like myself mustn't be questioned for the downfall of other people. It is not my problem that we have the problems that we have in the country. You and I have inherited the nonsense that is in the country. We've inherited the fact that our old people, you would know better, even you lived through it. Our families and our country, people have died fighting for equality. Now you and I and everyone else has this equality. You take a picture with a white man, it's a problem. You are captured, because you've got. Do you know how many people that listen to KFM have kids that go to lily white schools and all their photos? There are 3 kids in the classroom that are black and the rest is white. Are those kids captured?
Malema's kids, to hold that
Julius Malema's kids and most people in the EFF, their kids go to the St. David's. Voyane Pambo's child goes to St. David's. Is that kid captured?
Hold on. I'm going to ask you to hold that thought because it needs to go to news.
Morning.
But when we come back, we've still got another hour, 2 hours of this show. So we're going to get to the bottom of that.
Morning.
Nhlanhla Lux is in the studio with us. We're having a discussion. In the last hour, people are saying things were getting heated. Twitter saying, yeah. Now, why are you raising your voice? But essentially, you're speaking about how the theory of criminal procedure in our country and how things actually work out on the ground are very, very, very different.
Yeah.
So, what I'm hearing you say is that you have not got faith in our law enforcement. Is it the law enforcement that you don't have faith in, or is it literally our entire justice system?
Our entire justice system.
Okay.
South Africans are not fools. We know what's going on, and we also must be blamed for it, because when the problem comes on into our houses, then we also make those phone calls. Yo, Ntwanaka is arrested. Kokai, do you know that cop? Do you know that cop? So that can't be right. It can't be right. So there's a lot of wrong in terms of the system. That doesn't. I mean, we wouldn't have so many drug dealers in our communities if the systems were actually as good as we all think they are.
Okay.
We wouldn't have all the social ills that we have. We wouldn't have a gogo being raped or gogo being killed and people walk free because their brothers are Sizwe. Come on, man. So there's a lot of, it's tough for the people in the townships. It's really tough.
Okay. And so then if you express your discontent and your lack of faith in the justice system, how do you go about fixing that, in your opinion? Because I would argue that if by you trying to curb what it is that you deem unacceptable, but you also breaking the law in doing that, then you further putting us in jeopardy, because you basically know better than anybody else.
What you're saying is hypothetical, right? Because there's no way we break the law. So if it's just what you're saying for the sake of conversation, then that's right.
So let's speak about it hypothetically for now, because I do not have evidence of you breaking the law yet.
Thank you.
Yes.
Because, it's dangerous, because millions of people are listening and you have a very strong voice and influence. So when you put things in a certain way and I respond, it seems as if that is what it is. So we need to help people understand that they're not speaking to a criminal here. We're speaking to someone who's actually standing up for the community and is brave enough to face the drug dealers and any other social ill, right? So,
so let me just ask on that, right? I've seen videos of you, for example, parading the streets in camouflage, I guess army fatigues. Just let's call it war regalia, right?
Another word, but it's fine. Let's use it.
But it is. Why else?
It's fine. No, I'm saying. I mean, you know this language called English, and I could, if we're playing 30 seconds now, you would give me a synonym for war regalia.
Yeah,
you would. So you're not limited. Yeah,
but when you do that, you're carrying arms. Are you not carrying arms?
I'm not carrying arms. I'm dressed in the uniform. I'm not carrying arms.
But I've seen you in videos carrying arms.
What, during the Maponya protest? That was the only time you've ever saw me, because we were being shot at by R5s and R4s.
But you're carrying the arms still.
No, but you're talking about one video where we were being shot at and we had to respond.
So you're speaking about hypotheticals. I've now given you a specific incident where you were carrying arms.
No, I get Rabontan. We're not arguing.
Yeah.
We are now saying that if you're speaking about a specific incident, to make it clear so that even the listener can understand, we are now addressing this situation.
Okay.
Let's not just confuse listeners and go all around the show.
So you were carrying arms.
So by the way, we were all carrying arms, because the first night, the second night, we were shot at heavy, and the military came. That's when you saw us relaxing a bit, because we're already being supported and helped to defend Maponya Mall. There's never any other time. Actually, under it.
So where were those arms from in that particular time?
Yeah, well, everybody who was competent enough came with their arms and carried the arms.
So are these legal arms or illegal arms?
Come on, Sizwe, they're illegal. I mean, even if they were not illegal, I'm an honest guy. Even if they were not illegal, I wouldn't tell you they're not illegal. So I'll tell you they're legal. But for the sake of you understanding, they are legal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then carry on. You're going to make your point.
Yeah. So I was saying that I
was speaking about how you deal with the issue of the lack of faith that you have in our justice system.
So we partner with the justice system. We partner with, wherever there's a problem, we must partner with it. Don't just point fingers. The same way when I think that Sizwe has a problem, don't gossip about Sizwe and his problem. If Sizwe has a problem of being late all the time, let me ask the brother, why are you late all the time? You know, there's some people that often say the appointment is at 3 and they leave at 2:30 and it's just, they just don't get it. Like, you just get there even an hour before and you do your laptop work while you are there. There's zero chance of you running late because you're already there. And I talked to you about it, brother. Why are you always late? It doesn't look good. And you're so talented. The last thing I want is for people just to take your punctuality and make it an issue and override, which will put a dark cloud on top of your talent. But people don't do that. People want to do it the opposite. You see? So we partner with where the problem is. That's why we operate with the police, because we know there's a problem in our police. We know our police, some of our police members are on drugs. We know it. They live amongst us. They are our brothers. They take drugs. Sometimes they don't only take the drugs, they work for the drug dealer, damn it. So we have to be honest if you want to take this country forward. We can't tiptoe around issues that are killing our future. The young people are dying and drowning in drug abuse on a daily basis. Habli is a thing now. We've normalized Habli. Do you know what Habli is? Is it only the tobacco that's flavored that's put in there? No, you can mild it out. If you live in a township, you grounded, you understand that the kids can put some weed in it and they graduate and put some nyop in it. If I come and you guys are smoking Habli, I'm like, I will be hooked on drugs before I know. I'll be hooked into your circle because I think that I don't know what's going on because no one has told me that I'm actually smoking drugs for the last 3 sessions. Until you tell me, yeah, Baba, you're not going to come here and ride on our drugs for free. So then only then I know I'm not hooked on you, I'm hooked on the drugs. Many kids, millions of kids in this country get hooked on drugs without knowing because the environment allows them.
I hear that. But what I still haven't heard you say is you answering me how those actions of yours reintroduce the faith in the very same justice system that you say you don't have faith in.
Yeah. So
because if anything, I'd say it undermines the justice system.
No. When you partner with people that have weaknesses to improve them, you are very shallow to think that it's undermining of them. It's not. It's empowering of them.
Okay, wait. So let me ask you this. Do you remember, again, during July, what happened in Phoenix, in KZN, Durban?
Yes.
Yeah.
And by the way, I just read about it because I was caught up in Maponyo during the exact same time. But let's go. So
basically, the Indian community there took it upon themselves to protect what they felt were businesses in the area.
Sure.
They also came out brandishing weapons of their own, rifles, and people ended up dying there.
Yes.
Right? The country was in an uproar because they deemed that to be unacceptable, and rightfully so. Yeah. So do you see why something like that is a problem?
Yeah. So I like for everybody to judge Sizwe on what Sizwe has done, not what we think he can do or what he says he can do. What Sizwe has done. When you're talking to Nhlanhla Lux, you're talking to someone who doesn't have blood on his hands, but who's got a lot of success cases in our communities of taking the community forward and protecting the community and the businesses in the community. So what happens in Phoenix? Let's get the guys in Phoenix to tell us why they had blood in their hands and or whatever happened there and why they didn't work with the law enforcement. Because 99% of the time you've ever interacted with us is when we operate and we always have the law enforcement. So why are we stressing a narrative that suggests that we are just vigilantes and people who are clueless and just doing and singing around and killing people and attacking people? We've never attacked anyone.
Okay. Hold that thought. So when we come back, we're going to have a further discussion with Nhlanhla Lux, who's joining us in the studio. If you got questions, you can give us a shout, 086 0000 959. Welcome back to Kaya Drive. We are on the streets. We are on the air. In the studio, we have got a guest, Nhlanhla Lux. And as you heard, he's been with us actually for the past hour already. He's going to be with us for another hour. If you got any questions, you can give us a shout, 086 0000 959. And there's a lot to cover. So let's get back into it. Would you say you have lost all faith in leadership in the country? And by that, I mean in government structures.
No, not in individuals. You know, if you want to break it down, the reason why I hate politics as a system is that if I get offered a position to get into politics, I accept it. We live in a democratic country. Bontate Mulba and whoever else of that old school who has brought us to this mess in the country, they're going to outvote me all day, every day. So what would need to happen is that we would need to come with a fresh bunch of young people to change the country for real. So I haven't lost faith in everyone, because there are some people there that are fantastic, that are principled, and that actually have their hair screwed on. But they unfortunately are surrounded by a lot of people who are just there for their families, their friends, and Durban July checks, nothing else.
And so what is it that you would like to see from leadership?
I'd like to see leadership retire at the right age and give young people, stop hogging positions of power. Give young people in private sector the opportunity to lead these companies. Give young people in politics an opportunity to take over these political parties, and give young people an opportunity to get into government and run the world and run the country with fresh minds and make decisions for a future that they will be a part of because they are young. Right now, majority of the people that are there making decisions won't be there in the next 15 years, actually even 10 years, some of them. So they will not be able to hold them accountable. Some of us are giving young people, we're giving birth who are in debt, further debt, and this debt was not taken by them. You are seeing it in Soweto, not only in the country, that we are now owing Eskom billions of rands, and it's that debt came from Mandela and the class of Nelson Mandela. How do I give birth to a child today and they're already in billion rand debt? Where must we navigate opportunity in this country if we're just being born in debt? So we need young people to take over regardless of the space.
So what's your ethos then when it comes to leadership?
Leadership is about principle. But you see, I want to make an example using golf, but not everyone will understand the game of golf.
Because it's a boring game and nobody should understand it. It's a nonsense game.
Never. It's like, I promise you, for me, I always tell people golf is nyaupe. Once you try it, you're done. Like, you are there the whole time.
Nonsense. Listen, and you must stay away from nyaupe. They always tell you, right? So that's why golf is...
Let me take you for a round of golf, and then you come back tell the listeners. No, you're playing with the wrong people.
I've never played because I know it's nonsense. It's pretentious. As soon as everybody makes money, they feel like they're going to go. It's nonsense.
So you experience and consume golf from nonsense people. That's why the content of golf is nonsense to you. Come to the professional side. Okay. I'll show you a thing or two. But in any case, so...
the ethos of leadership.
Yeah, the ethos of leadership for me is people being honest, and we don't have enough honest people. Maybe some people are honest, but they don't have the courage, and they're not deliberate and intentional in making sure that they do address the issues for what they are. People are tiptoeing around the issue. Which politician have you heard addressing drugs in our communities? They're scared of drug dealers. Unless they are the drug dealers. Someone must tell me what's going on here. How is it okay that every street in Soweto has got a drug dealer? That every household in every black community in townships, we are affected by nyaupe. My cousin or my sister or someone in my family is on nyaupe. How can that be normalized?
Okay, so maybe let me get very specific then, because
be specific, yeah.
We're going to run out of time.
Sure.
Right? Essentially, I'm sure you realize that people do need some form of leadership because majority of people are not in a position to make decisions for themselves. Would you agree with that or disagree?
50-50, because we can't condition people to believing that they can't make decisions for their own lives and be super active citizens in their communities to empower themselves.
They can, but their pre-genetic disposition doesn't allow them
unfortunately to. So we need that balance. We can't just feed them the information that they need a Lux to come and make a difference, you know. So 50-50. So I do understand what you're saying.
And so that's why people always follow a leader, even if the leader may be a charlatan. So if you look at, even in Christianity, for example, or let's just call it religion, there will be a pastor so-and-so who's clearly taking advantage of people.
There'll be a pro kid. There'll be a pro kid in music because he happens to be better and we all follow him, and he changes the style.
But the thing with pro is he wasn't leading people astray. The example I was trying to make was people who are leading others astray.
All right.
Yeah. But pro is another leader.
Yeah.
Luckily, he happened to be a good one, somebody that we can swear by, and he actually had the talent to back it up.
100% sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, having said that, do you realize that your actions can influence somebody even from a distance just because of the prominence that you have and the platform that you enjoy?
I certainly do. I understand that.
And so when we have an economy such as ours, which is literally tethering, right? And we all know that when the economy is bad, people then have a propensity to commit acts of violence or crime. Yeah. Would you agree with that?
I agree with you.
You could equate that to a dry felt, right? And right now, anybody who would spark a flame, it could catch fire and it could be calamitous for the entire country.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you got a situation like that and somebody is sitting from a distance and they are believing what is reported, because you've said some of it may not be true, but they believe in what is reported, and the guy is probably sitting at Kopo.
Yeah.
He doesn't know you personally, but he's heard that you can now go into any situation and handle it yourself.
Yeah.
And that escalates to a situation where maybe foreign nationals end up getting killed, like happened in 2008.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily your actions,
yes,
but it is a consequence of something that you started.
Yeah.
As a leader, would you take responsibility for something like that?
No, I wouldn't take responsibility for nonsense. That's the media that must take the damn responsibility, Sizwe. Let's be honest with life. This is the problem we have in the country. You just said that it's not me who's painting that narrative. So someone else is. And we know in this case it's the media, both traditional and social. So why can't we hold the media accountable for the false narratives that they're pushing down people's throats? So what I will take responsibility for is that because I understand that fine line that people might see what we are doing, regardless of where they were influenced or how they were influenced, we do it now. We go to communities that want to start their own movements and we teach them and we show them how to work with the law enforcement. I can give you community after community where we've been to say that we are launching this program here and it's now verified that you guys understand what to do, then fly. But never that at any given point does the media report that we have social education. That's not even our job to do, but we do it because we understand the nature of our country and the sensitivity and our responsibility.
Hold that thought, because we will be back. Joined in studio by Nhlanhla Lux. If you got any questions, 086 0000 959 is the number. It's Kaya Drive. We are on the streets. We are on the air. We are everywhere. If you just joined us, Nhlanhla Lux is in the studio, and the conversation continues. We will take your calls, 086 0000 959. We'll also take your voice messages, 0636880959. You can send them through right now. So we're having a discussion.
Yeah.
Essentially about leadership.
Yeah.
Right? You've often said that you're not a politician, neither do you aspire to be, but you do want to be in governance.
That's not politics.
Yeah, but 100%. You do want to be in governance.
If I have a lot to offer for the country, yeah, definitely. I mean, if I'm the best guy suited for a certain position in government and people call me up, I'll come. But I'll never do it through politics.
And I've heard you say you'd work with current people who are in positions of leadership right now.
Oh yes. I'll work with anyone to advance the country. We should never ever hog positions of power or influence. If there's a new young person emerging, or even one of the old people saying, I'm sorry that we've just messed up the country so hard, what can I participate in? Let's come together. Unity is the key to everything. That's why I always stress, we will come together and fix the bigger agendas of this country.
And what would those bigger agendas be?
Oh, like the land issue. There's no people are saying, why are you going after this? Not the land issue. Why don't you go to this? And we are not resourced for that. But if we all come together, we are the biggest in terms of number, black people that is, but we are the weakest. The minority groups are way stronger than us. Because
so then who would you
we
partner
are not
with?
united. I'd partner with anyone willing and able and with proper values of honesty to take the country forward. Even those that are doing bad by me right now, even those that are praying for my downfall right now, I leave a space in my heart to unite with them, including the EFF boys, girls, doesn't matter. At some point, we need to get our egos out the way and partner for the sake of the future of this country. And that's all that matters.
Mm-hmm. So if somebody were to say that what you're doing right now looks very much like building a political party from the ground up, and obviously we can't tell what will happen in the future, but essentially this is how movements begin. And nobody starts a movement without an end goal in mind.
Yeah.
So then the question would be, what is the end goal?
Yeah. So our end goal is simple. Is to try see our immediate communities at a certain level. Our grannies in townships can't live the way they're living. Our young people in townships can't be subjected to drugs and alcohol abuse. Our schools in townships can't be in such a dilapidated state that single parents, most households are led by mothers. Our mothers can't fear that when my boy leaves or my girl leaves to the park and play, they'll come back and be addict. So all those things are within our reach because I can be called and walk to the park. I can go take one taxi, 20 rand, to get to Deep Kloof, where there's no electricity. So what's immediate? If we can contribute towards the emancipation of our people and development of our communities in Soweto and other townships, once that is done, then we can graduate to agendas that are bigger, because even our influence will have grown stronger. And with the unity that I'm speaking about, our resources will pull together to make sure that in 200 years' time, the black child that is born continues to benefit from the decisions we've made today. We all right now are not benefiting from any decision that was made 200 years by any black person. And I do understand we come from a very hard time in history and so forth. But we need to make sure, regardless of our challenges, that a child in 200 years is set up. At least the environment allows him or her to be whoever they want to be. And it mustn't be because they come from that fancy family with a fancy surname, then they can get better opportunities. It must be fair.
After this traffic report, I'm going to ask you for specifics.
No
because there needs to be a vehicle to get to where you're going.
No problem.
And currently, the only vehicle that we've ever seen has been a political one, a party one. Even though you can run as an independent, it's very difficult to get anything done in the country if you do it that way.
Sure.
So start mulling over that thought.
All right.
Welcome back to Kaya Drive. We're joined in the studio by Nhlanhla Lux. If you just joined us, you can give us a shout, 086 00 00959 with any questions, or send us your voice notes to 063 688 0959. So we're speaking about the vehicle to governance, which you've expressed an interest in.
Yeah.
And thus far, I've been asking you questions and probing specifically just regarding yourself and your way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So let me explain why I do that. Majority of the people who support your movement have never met you, right? They get to interact with you via platforms such as this one. Obviously, social media is another. Sure. And because they've never met you, they don't really know what it is that inspires you, and they definitely don't know what your intentions are regarding the future, right? The only way we get to identify that is through a vociferous discussion.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy to sit there and say all the right things.
And I appreciate it.
I mean, literally, you can throw a stone and everybody will tell you what's wrong with the country.
Sure.
What's difficult is people telling you how we fix what's wrong with the country.
That's important.
And furthermore, everybody understands, I guess, the issue of the underprivileged in our country. And it's very easy to then use that to achieve your own personal goals, right? And so if somebody were to sit here and say, okay, Nhlanhla, I've heard everything you've said. Mm-hmm. How do I know you are being sincere?
Yeah, because I don't really talk it. Mm-hmm. Politicians generally talk, and talk is cheap. We live amongst the problems, and that's why we become part of the solution. Mm-hmm. We are not smart by any means. We are just practical and in touch with our people on the ground. So sincerity is when you're willing to walk the distance with the people that are part of that problem or in that problem. When there's no electricity, Eskom is making people suffer in townships. I also don't have electricity. When Gogo has a problem, her scream reaches my house, because we all know how our houses are set up. So I'm not getting called from Houghton or Sandton or Bryanston. I'm in Soweto. I have economic opportunity personally to be anywhere I want in this country, but I chose to stay and build up my dream house in Soweto. So if you're still questioning sincerity, then we're not you personally, but we are not willing to open up for possibilities. That means we are also captured by the current status quo. Everything that's happening now is normal. All the leaders that are here now, they must hog leadership and whatever else. And when young people emerge and they're doing it so well, and they've got better success stories, more success stories than all these people in suits and ties sitting in their offices and talking when it suits them. Example, the July unrest. Where are all the politicians?
Okay, so on that point, let me just tell you why it is that we have to question sincerity.
Sure. No,
it's because of our history and what we've witnessed.
Fair enough.
So we've seen the ANC Youth League of Nelson Mandela, right? And then we've seen what the ANC turned out to be later on.
Sure.
We've heard utterances from other young people who were perhaps as much of revolutionaries as you may seem to be now.
Sure.
And then they got in power and they changed.
Yeah.
Some are ministers even right now.
Yeah.
I don't need to mention names, but we've seen that.
Yeah.
And so when you sit here and you say you're not smart by any means, I take that with a pinch of salt, and I'll tell you why, right? Even academically, at the schools that you went to, you got a scholarship.
Yeah.
You get that via a certain aptitude. Hold on, I'm not done.
All right.
So you get that via a certain aptitude.
Okay.
You are an individual, through my interaction with you now over the last hour and a half, and also just from observing how you move, you are very calculating.
Yeah.
You're very deliberate.
Yeah.
Even the language that you use, right, is language that is meant to coax and make a person think a certain way. The examples you always bring up, ukoko, right? Because you know that when you use the term ukoko, it will conjure up an image in somebody's head of a woman, usually black, frail, helpless, and it will make them warm and receptive to your message. This is not by coincidence.
Well,
right?
It is, because I don't think that deep.
Okay.
The problem is that people overanalyze situations. People have to be theorists. People have to, like, for example, if you're saying that I can create right now a mathematic formula for running, sprinting 100 meters, and teach it to those who don't know how to sprint, it's hard to understand. But if I'm practical and show you, we don't need that formula. Do you understand? So I'm on the practical side, you on the observing side. So you have to make your mind run that way. Maybe we just generally, or naturally given. When it's your time, it's your time. When you say the right things, you say the right things. I don't have to make research. Did you see me come in here with notes?
No.
Have you ever seen me speak and take a mic and speak for 4 hours and reference something? No. Why? Because I live in the problems. I live amongst my communities. Physically. So when it's time for me to articulate the problems of Batwaba Hulu, it comes second nature, like this, click of a finger. So, and when you look at me like, oh shit, he's too smart.
You can't use that language.
Sorry,
but also, sure. Listen, there's nothing wrong with being smart, right?
There isn't.
So, but what I am saying is, and you don't need notes for this, by the way, but smart people are able to identify an opportunity and also see how, even though the views of the many may align with them in the meantime, but you'll also be able to see how that can advance your own personal agenda.
If there is one.
There's always a personal agenda.
No, there's no personal agenda. I lose more in what I do on a daily basis than gain. I lose a lot.
So look at this. Okay. Look at it this way.
Okay, so let's do
last 2 days,
for the sake of the listeners.
Last 3 days,
listeners, why don't you come and shadow me and come back and tell them here how much of a hard life we actually have?
It is a hard life. I want no parts of it personally.
You see?
I wouldn't dream of it. And so, but let's not pretend.
I resign every night,
but let's
and re-employ myself every morning.
True, but let's not pretend that what you're doing doesn't come with a kind of utility. Let's not pretend that for the last week you haven't been the highest trending topic, for example. Let's not pretend you weren't getting 17,000 tweets every day.
Yeah.
So it does come with the utility, and it does come with a certain amount of attention. For example, let me give you an example.
Sure.
Right? And only you will know. I mean, I'm here to pose a question.
Yeah.
The listeners listening, and they'll decide for themselves, but only you will know.
Yeah.
Donald Trump, when he was running for president, that guy didn't want to be president. All he hoped for was that it would advance his profile and help him do better in business.
Sure.
Unfortunately for him, he won.
Sure.
Then he had to govern.
Yeah.
Sure. This has advanced your profile. This is not a lie. It's a fact.
100%.
Now, whether or not it's what you meant for it to do, again, I can't tell you.
Yeah.
But this is why I have to question the intention.
Sure. So, mine is simple. I don't have any personal ambitions around what we are doing now, around what's happening now. What I am here for is what I was here for before you knew me and everyone else. If you just put a dipstick in my consistency gauge, you'll understand how consistent we've been for the last 10 years to today. So all the difference is the cameras are now here. The people are now giving us attention. We've been running around the township and doing the best we can to advance the community ever since we were lighties in school uniforms. But now it's just blown out of proportion, and there's theories, conspiracy theories, and people are allowed to think whatever they want to think, So when you are here and you also have a lot of questions to pose, because we also trying for the listener perhaps to also understand better, we must go as deep as we can. I do not mind all that, but we said earlier on that we need solutions. When you tell me about the fact that I'm trending on Twitter, if you listen to me speak most videos, I tell you that that's virtual. It's not real life. I'm trending on Twitter so that people with data can say Nhlanhla Lux and type it. But the real people that I live amongst don't have the data. So where am I really trending? Where I want to be, or just on virtual? Life is not virtual, it's for real. We live a real life. We get shot for real, Sizwe. I get young people who are shot. They will pull up their T-shirts and show you bullet wounds, because we live on the ground, and that's what it is, unfortunately. So for us, we want to trend better in the hearts of our grannies, In the heart, again, you'll say that I'm doing that theory thing that you mentioned. We want to trend better in our communities, because after I've trended what? How many days? 10 days straight? Whatever
like the last week.
Whatever that number is. Incredible for those who live in the Twitter streets. I don't live in the Twitter streets. I live in the real world, on the ground, right? So what that means for me is, it's rubbish, it's nonsense, it's doesn't change my life, because at the end of the day, the drug dealer is still in the community, whether I trend or not. So my success is when we can eradicate the problems, because I'll be damned, Sizwe, if 10 years passes and all we do is talk about this. Oh, Lux, you got influence. Oh, Lux, you're trending. Oh, Lux. But the drug dealer is still in the community. But the politicians are still not delivering what they need to deliver as basic needs for our people. And that's because I live amongst those problems. We need to solve them. We can't just overlook them and always hope that Superman will come out of the sky, call the politician to come and solve our problems. We can't.